Silence, the most underestimated strategy in the modern world, the quietest weapon, and the loudest advantage. People think success is loud. They think it looks like shouting your goals, broadcasting your plans, showing your work to anyone who glances in your direction. But the truth? Every empire in history was built in silence before it was celebrated in public. Every king was crowned long after the quiet preparation. Every achievement you admire began in a room where no one clapped. You're about to discover why. Welcome to Silence Builds Empires. Never tell people what you do. Full audiobook. This is the path to successful walk when nobody is watching. This is the mindset that protects your future, your focus, and your power. And if you listen, not just with your ears, but with your awareness, your real life will begin to shift, because silence is more than the absence of noise. Silence is strategy. Silence is confidence. Silence is control. Silence is the foundation of every powerful person you've ever admired. Ask yourself, why do you feel the urge to share your goals with others? Why do you feel compelled to announce your next move, your intentions, your dreams? Because on some level, you want validation. You want applause before the performance. You want reassurance that your direction is correct. But here's the harsh truth. The moment you speak your vision out loud, it loses strength. It leaks energy. It becomes vulnerable to criticism, judgment, envy, doubt, yours and everyone else's. Most people don't ruin their future by failing. They ruin it by talking. You don't need to explain your path. You don't need to justify your ambition. Your results will speak the only language that matters. The people who truly win in this world, the real winners, not the loud pretenders, understand something profound. Privacy is power. Noise is weakness. Silence is leverage. They are not mysterious by accident. They are silent on purpose, because attention is expensive and unnecessary attention is destructive. Today, you're going to learn how to move in silence, how to build without announcing, how to grow without broadcasting, and how to protect your momentum from the world around you. Dear friend, we would like you to share the topic you would like us to cover in our next video. This is important to us, as we would like to prepare videos on topics that are of interest to you. So write it in the comments. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why Silence is a Superpower. Look around you. Everyone is talking. Everyone is posting. Everyone is documenting their lives, their goals, their progress, their dreams. And for what? Not for success. For attention. In a world where everyone speaks, the person who listens stands out. In a world where everyone reveals too much, the person who holds their cards close wins. Have you noticed this? People overshare out of insecurity. People broadcast because they fear being invisible. People announce every move because they want approval before execution. But the strongest minds, the most disciplined souls, do not need external validation. They build quietly. They grow privately. They execute consistently. They understand the psychology of power. Remember, when no one knows what you're doing, no one can stop you. No one can doubt you. No one can sabotage you. No one can drain your momentum with their negativity or their opinions. You move with freedom when you move in silence. Now ask yourself, how much faster would you grow if you stopped explaining yourself to people who don't matter? How much stronger would your progress be if you stopped announcing your dreams to people who aren't dreaming themselves? How much peace would you gain if you didn't let others' opinions shape your direction? Let me give you a truth that will guide the rest of this audiobook. People can only attack what they can see. People can only judge what they know. People can only interfere with what you reveal. When you keep your plans private, you protect them. When you protect your plans, you protect your future. This is why silence is not passive. Silence is active. Silence is intentional. Silence is self-control. And the moment you learn to master it, your life will never be the same. Chapter 2. The cost of telling people too much. Every time you tell someone your goals, something subtle happens. Your brain gives you a small dopamine reward, the same reward you would get if you actually achieved the goal. And that feeling tricks you. It makes you feel like you've already done the work before you've even started. You lose the hunger. You lose the urgency. You lose the pressure that pushes you to act. This is why sharing your dreams too early destroys them. Your mind confuses talking with doing. That is why many people stay stuck in the same place year after year, because they talk about change instead of executing change. They think their words are enough, but words without action are just noise, and noise kills focus. Let me ask you, who would you become if for the next 6 months you said nothing? No announcements, no updates, no explanations, no predictions, no speeches, only action? Where would your life be? Most people have never experienced that level of focus. Most people have never experienced that level of silence. Most people have never experienced that level of power. But you're about to. This audiobook exists to show you how. Chapter 3. People don't support you. They study you. Here's a truth you might not want to hear. Most people don't care about your goals. They care about your progress only as it relates to their comfort. This is why talking about your plans rarely leads to encouragement. Most people will doubt you, discourage you, warn you, project their fears on you, question you, mock your ambition, and even the ones who smile at you. Many of them are secretly trying to measure you, trying to see if you're getting ahead of them, trying to see if you're leveling up faster, trying to see if your life threatens their comfort. People don't support you. People study you. And that is exactly why silence is your shield. You don't owe anybody clarity. You don't owe anybody a roadmap. You don't owe anybody the inside view of your transformation. Your life is not a group project. Your dreams are not up for public vote. And your progress is not for public entertainment. If you truly want to build something great, you must walk away from the habit of giving everyone access to your inner world. Chapter 4. The 5 things you must keep private. We'll go deeper throughout this audiobook, but the foundation starts here. Here are the 5 things the successful never announce. 1. Their next move. Not because they're secretive, but because they're strategic. 2. Their financial situation. Silence protects wealth. Noise destroys it. 3. Their personal life. Privacy creates peace. Interference creates chaos. 4. Their weaknesses. People weaponize whatever you reveal. 5. Their long-term goals. Because great visions need protection, not applause. These 5 pillars will be developed throughout this audiobook, but remember them now. Your life changes the moment you stop speaking from insecurity and start moving from intention. Chapter 5. Your new identity, the quietly dangerous person. By the time you complete this audiobook, you will adopt a new identity, the quietly dangerous person. This person moves without noise, builds without attention, grows without approval, improves without applause, executes without permission, wins without warning. And when they show up with results, people are shocked because they weren't watching the preparation. They weren't aware of the discipline. They weren't ready for the transformation. This identity is powerful because it reverses the game. You become unpredictable, unstoppable, untouchable, and most importantly, you become in control again of your time, of your mind, of your energy, of your future. This is how empires are built, not with noise, but with silence. And now, you're ready for the next level. Silence is not just a habit. Silence is psychology, a wiring of the mind, a way of carrying yourself that changes how the world responds to you. When you master silent power, you stop reacting to life, and life starts reacting to you. And the reason this chapter matters is simple. People who talk too much lose leverage. People who move silently gain it. Let's break down why. Chapter 6, The Science of Energy Conservation. If these words resonated with you, tell me which line touched you most. Your comment could inspire someone who needs it. You might think silence is just silence, an absence of sound, a quiet moment. But silence is actually energy conservation. Think about it. Every conversation costs energy. Every explanation drains focus. Every argument consumes emotional bandwidth. Every announcement disperses your momentum. When you talk, you're spending. When you stay silent, you're saving. And that's exactly why the most powerful people in the world choose silence first. They understand that. Energy is limited. Focus is limited. Mental bandwidth is limited. And if you waste your energy on noise, you have nothing left for execution. The rich conserve energy. The disciplined conserve energy. The wise conserve energy. Most people don't fail because of the challenge. They fail because they exhaust themselves before facing the challenge. Silence protects your reserves. Silence strengthens your internal battery. Silence prepares you for the work ahead. When you stop talking, you start building. When you stop explaining, you start executing. When you stop arguing, you start rising. You cannot grow and defend yourself at the same time. You cannot build and broadcast simultaneously. So, what do powerful people do? They save their strength for what matters. Chapter 7. Why people lose respect when you talk too much. Here is a truth that may sting. People lose respect for those who constantly talk about themselves. People lose respect for those who constantly explain themselves. People lose respect for those who constantly announce their plans. It signals insecurity. It signals neediness. It signals weakness. The more you talk, the less seriously people take you. The less you talk, the more seriously people observe you. Have you ever noticed this? The loudest person in the room is usually the least respected. But the quiet person, the one who listens, processes, observes, that's the one people pay attention to. They don't know what that person is thinking. They don't know what that person is planning. They don't know what that person is capable of. And that mystery creates influence. Because humans respect what they can't predict. They admire what they can't understand. They fear what they can't read. A quiet person is a powerful person because silence forces others to fill in the blanks with their imagination. That is where influence begins. Chapter 8. Control your emotions. Control your empire. Silence isn't just external, it's internal. Most people cannot stay silent because they cannot control their emotions. They speak too soon. They react too fast. They defend themselves unnecessarily. They argue out of ego. They overshare out of anxiety. They announce plans out of insecurity. Silence requires mastery. Silence requires self-command. Silence requires emotional intelligence. It takes strength to not respond when provoked, not explain when misunderstood, not react when insulted, not reveal when pressured, not flex when challenged, not speak when silence is more powerful. The truth is, your ability to stay silent in emotionally charged moments determines the size of your future. Think about it. The argument you avoid saves a relationship. The insult you ignore saves your dignity. The secret you don't reveal saves your opportunity. The reaction you don't give saves your power. This is why silence is strength, not weakness. Some people think they're losing by staying quiet, but in reality, they're winning by not wasting their energy. Silence is emotional maturity in motion. Chapter 9. Silence makes you unpredictable, and that makes you powerful. Humans crave predictability. They want to know what you're thinking, planning, doing, feeling. Why? Because predictability gives them control. If they know what you're up to, they can prepare a response, judge your intentions, interfere with your plan, influence your emotions, compete with your goals, sabotage your momentum. But when you move in silence, when your emotions are steady, when your actions are unseen, when your plans are private, people can't predict you. And if they can't predict you, they cannot control you. Unpredictability creates psychological power. It makes others unsure. It makes them cautious. It makes them curious. It makes them attentive. You become the variable they cannot read. And in life, the unreadable person holds the advantage. Let me say something that might change the way you see yourself. Remember, the moment you stop telling everyone your next move, you become a threat. Not because you are dangerous, but because you are no longer accessible. Your silence forces others to respect boundaries they never respected before. Chapter 10. Your success doesn't need an audience. One of the biggest lies in modern culture is this: share your journey. No, you don't need to. You don't need an audience to grow. You don't need applause to evolve. You don't need permission to transform. Your success doesn't need spectators. Your growth doesn't need witnesses. Your progress doesn't need validation. The most powerful transformations happen quietly, alone in your room, at 5 a.m. when nobody knows you're awake, in the gym when no one is clapping, in the library when no one is cheering, at your desk when no one sees the sacrifice. People admire the results. They never understand the quiet work it requires, and that's how it should be. Because when you build in silence, you eliminate comparison. You eliminate pressure. You eliminate noise. You eliminate distraction. You eliminate every voice except your own. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to announce anything. You don't need to convince anyone. Your life becomes a masterpiece, revealed only when finished. Silence is not one skill. It is not one habit. It is not one technique. Silence is a spectrum, a progression, a psychological evolution. And the people who master silence don't do it accidentally. They rise through levels, each one deeper, quieter, and more powerful than the last. Today, you begin that ascent. Welcome to the 7 levels of silent mastery. Level 1, silence of reaction. I don't respond to what doesn't deserve my energy. This is the first test, the simplest, yet the hardest for most people. You learn to control your reaction, the impulse to snap back, defend yourself, fire off a response, correct someone, react emotionally. At this stage, you begin to realize Not everything requires your reply. Not every comment deserves oxygen. Not every provocation warrants attention. Not every loud person deserves space in your head. You start asking, does this deserve my energy? If the answer is no, you walk away. And that simple act, that pause, is the beginning of power, because when you stop reacting, you stop bleeding energy. This is the first awakening. Level 2, silence of plans. My vision belongs to me until it is real. At this level, you begin to protect your goals. You stop announcing what you're working on. You stop telling people your next move. You stop seeking validation for your ideas, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting the fragile first stages of creation. Ideas are weak when they are young. Most people kill their dreams before they grow by exposing them to the wrong environments. You start realizing people project their fears onto your plans. People judge what they don't understand. People talk you out of opportunities they are too afraid to pursue themselves. People secretly wish you remain who they met. And so you stop oversharing. Your plans become sacred. Your moves become private. Your goals become guarded. This is level 2. Comment one word that describes your mindset right now. Just one word. Level 3. Silence of ego. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. This level separates ordinary people from powerful ones. You no longer feel the need to defend your choices, prove your worth, explain your decisions, justify your path, argue with small minds. You stop trying to convince people to see the world as you do. Why? Because you realize that ego is loud and confidence is silent. You don't need to show your success. You are success in motion. This level is rare. Most never reach it. But if you can detach from the need to be understood, you unlock a freedom almost nobody experiences. Level 4. Silence of emotions. My feelings belong to me. I choose when, how, and if I express them. This is deep mastery. You understand that emotions are powerful, and revealing them at the wrong time gives others leverage. So you begin to pause before reacting, observe before responding, breathe before speaking, reflect before deciding. Your emotions no longer control you. You control them. You become calm in chaos, still in storms, quiet in conflict, present in pressure. This is the level where people start to wonder, how is this person so steady, so centered, so unmoved? It is because you have entered the emotional silence that powerful leaders embody. Level 5. Silence of identity. I don't need the world to label me. This level is internal. You stop trying to fit into expectations. You stop trying to belong where you don't feel aligned. You stop explaining who you are becoming. You embrace the fact that identity is fluid. Growth requires evolution. Transformation requires shedding skins. And silence protects your metamorphosis. You don't post every change. You don't announce every shift. You don't broadcast every lesson. You evolve quietly, privately, internally. People see the results, not the transformation. That is silent identity. It changes everything. Level 6. Silence of strategy. My moves are invisible until they become undeniable. At this level, you operate like the elite. You think 3 steps ahead. You speak 0 steps ahead. Your strategy becomes invisible. You stop signaling your intentions. You stop revealing your timelines. You stop hinting at your opportunities. You move like chess. Everyone else moves like checkers. Your silence becomes your shield, and your strategy becomes your sword. People cannot interfere with what they cannot see. People cannot sabotage what they cannot detect. People cannot block what they do not know exists. This is the level where silent builders rise above the noise of the world. Level 7. Silence of presence. My existence speaks louder than my words ever will. This is the highest level of silent mastery. You enter rooms differently. You are calm. You are grounded. You are composed. You are observant. You say less, but mean more. You speak only when it elevates the moment. You contribute only when it changes the outcome. You show your value without announcing it. This is where your presence becomes your power. When you reach this level, you don't chase influence. You attract it. People feel your energy. They sense your depth. They respect your boundaries without you saying a word. This is the silence that builds empires. This is the silence the world can feel. Welcome to the 10 Rules of the Silent Empire. Builder, follow them, and your life changes. Ignore them, and silence becomes isolation, not power. Rule 1. Move quietly. Execute loudly. Speak less of what you will do and more through what you've done. Most people reverse this rule. They talk endlessly about what they plan to do and show nothing. You will do the opposite. You will build in private, grind without applause, improve without permission, execute without needing attention. People should hear about your results, not your process. Build the life they will see long before you ever talk about it. Rule 2. Never explain, never defend. If it doesn't affect your peace or your mission, you owe no explanation. Stop explaining your dreams. Stop defending your boundaries. Stop justifying your distance. Stop apologizing for choosing yourself. You will realize that those who understand do not need the explanation. Those who demand the explanation will never understand. You owe nothing except your own evolution. Rule 3. Observe everything. React to nothing. The person who reacts first loses first. This is emotional leverage, while others panic, gossip, complain, argue, overreact. You stay steady. Silence during chaos is a display of mastery. You learn more by watching than talking. You stay more powerful by staying composed. Because the quieter you are when everyone else is loud, the more control you gain. Rule 4. Listen for what is not said. Silence reveals truth that words try to hide. People reveal themselves constantly in their tone, in their hesitation, in their inconsistencies, in their energy, in their silence. When you master silence, you begin hearing the things between the lines. You start noticing the lie behind the smile, the insecurity behind the brag, the jealousy behind the joke, the truth behind the pause. This rule protects you from manipulation because you see what others miss. Rule 5. Protect your inner circle like a fortress. You don't need many people. You need right people. The powerful do not have large circles. They have small, loyal, intentional ones because they know one wrong person can drain 10 good ones. One loud person can disrupt a silent builder. One insecure person can poison your vision. So you select people carefully, not by their words, by their patterns, not by how they talk about others, but how they talk when others aren't around. Your circle determines your altitude. Guard it with silence. Guard it with discipline. Guard it with intention. Rule 6. Let your results confront your doubters. Silence is weaponized when success does the talking. You will not argue. You will not debate. You will not clap back. Your achievements will shut mouths better than your arguments ever could. Every time someone doubts you, you build. Every time someone underestimates you, you improve. Every time someone questions you, you upgrade. Success is the loudest revenge. Use it. You're not here by accident. What brought you to this video today? Rule 7. Never share a plan that is still under construction. Early exposure kills great ideas. Ideas need incubation. Plans need privacy. Dreams need protection. You reveal them only when they are strong, they are built, they are undeniable. Most people lose momentum not from failure, but from announcing too early. They start performing for the crowd instead of building for the mission. You will not make that mistake. Your silence fuels your progress. Your privacy protects your momentum. Rule 8. Speak only with purpose. If your words don't move a moment forward, they're noise. You will stop talking to fill time. Stop oversharing to feel connected. Stop rambling to feel understood. Every word becomes measured, intentional, sharp, meaningful. Remember, when you speak, people will listen, because you don't speak often. This is the voice of someone who is building something bigger than conversations. Rule 9. Embrace being misunderstood. The path of the silent builder is rarely visible to others. People will misread your quietness. They will say, "You're distant. You've changed. You're different. You think you're better. You don't talk to us like before." Smile. Keep moving. You are not living for their understanding. You are living for your evolution. Greatness requires silence because growth requires isolation. You will outgrow people who wanted you small. Rule 10. Let silence become the proof of your discipline. Your silence is not emptiness, it is alignment. Silence becomes Taoist, your training ground, your strategy, your emotional shield, your productivity engine, your sanctuary. It becomes the place where you think clearer, you move smarter, you create faster, you grow deeper. Silence is not the absence of noise. Silence is the presence of control. There comes a point in your life when the noise of the world becomes too heavy, too distracting, too controlling, and something inside you whispers, "Disappear for a while." Not to escape life, but to rebuild it. Not to hide from people, but to outgrow them. Not to run from your old self, but to create your new one. This is what I call the silent era of your life. Every powerful person, every self-made success, every leader, every millionaire, every mentally unbreakable human goes through it. A season where they retreat, recalibrate, restructure, and rise. This chapter is the blueprint. The silent era begins with a break from who you used to be. It doesn't start with motivation. It doesn't start with inspiration. It doesn't start with a dream board or a morning routine. It starts with a decision. I'm done being the version of myself that isn't aligned with my future. This means you pull away, you stay quiet, you stop explaining, you observe instead of react, you choose solitude over noise, you disappear from the unnecessary. This isn't punishment. This is preparation. You are not isolating yourself. You are isolating the old patterns that kept you stuck. The silent era is where you clean your internal house. You sort through the beliefs that limit you. You confront the habits that weaken you. You remove the people who drain you. You break the addictions to chaos and validation. You stop living on emotional autopilot. In this chapter of your life, you change quietly because quiet change is deep change. Quiet change is permanent change. Quiet change is disciplined change. Noise creates attention. Silence creates transformation. This is when people start asking, "What happened to you?" Some will be confused. Some will be threatened. Some will assume you're being distant. Some will think you're avoiding them. Some will say you're acting strange. What they don't understand is this: you are not pulling away from them. You are pulling away from the version of yourself they were comfortable with. And growth always feels like betrayal to the people who benefited from your stagnation. Remember, they don't have to understand your silence. They just have to watch what it turns you into. The silent era is where you build your new internal operating system. You start making different decisions. You start saying no more often. You start protecting your energy instead of proving it. You start valuing peace over popularity. You start showing discipline where you used to show excuses. And this is when life starts responding differently. You begin to notice your mind is clearer, your emotions are steadier, your days feel lighter, your focus sharpens, your confidence rebuilds, your purpose gets louder, all because you got quieter. The silent era teaches you this powerful truth. Most people don't change their life because they never give themselves the silence required to hear what needs to change. You cannot hear your next level when you are drowning in noise. You cannot rebuild your identity while constantly reacting to others. You cannot discover your true voice when everyone else's voice is louder. Silence is where your real self speaks. You just haven't given it enough room to be heard. The silent era is where you finally see the truth about your life. When you step back from everything, you see everything clearly for the first time. You notice who actually respects you, who only uses you, who you outgrew, who you need to become, what habits are killing your potential, what dreams you abandoned, what you want for real, what you no longer accept. This clarity is uncomfortable, but it's freedom. Silence doesn't just rebuild your mind, it exposes your reality, and only truth can transform you. The silent era is when you become dangerous. Not dangerous to people, but to your old limitations. Because once you stop reacting, stop explaining, stop seeking approval, stop wasting time, stop ignoring your potential, stop living small, you become someone your old life can no longer contain. Your silence becomes a weapon that cuts through confusion, a shield that protects your peace, a compass that guides your decisions. You become unstoppable because you become unshakable. The silent era always leads to the same result, a version of you that feels more focused, more intelligent, more patient, more disciplined, more emotionally controlled, more self-aware, more powerful. People won't know what changed. They'll just know you become someone they can no longer predict, control, or distract. And that's the moment you step into the next phase. The rebuild, how to create a life so strong you only speak when you want to. That is what we explore next. You enter the rebuild phase quietly, not with fireworks, not with announcements, not with declarations, but with intention. This is the moment your silence becomes strategy, not escape, not avoidance, not fear, not withdrawal, strategy. Your life becomes a blueprint and you become the architect. Let's begin. The first rule of the rebuild: upgrade your identity before you change habits, before you build routines, before you set goals. You must rewrite the story you tell yourself, because your identity is the ceiling of your life. If your identity is small, your results will always shrink to match it. If your identity is fearful, your life will bend around your fears. If your identity says, I don't want problems, you'll avoid opportunities. But once your identity shifts to, I can handle anything, I'm built for challenges, I deserve more than mediocrity, I'm capable of greatness, your actions evolve on their own. You stop forcing discipline, and discipline becomes who you are. You stop chasing confidence, and confidence becomes your default. You stop fighting your emotions, and emotional control becomes natural. This is the first stage of the rebuild, rewriting the blueprint of who you believe yourself to be. The second rule of the rebuild: fix what you tolerate. Your life will never rise above the standards you accept. Read that again. You don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, laziness, procrastination, emotional reactions, draining people, bad environments, then you teach the world that this is the level you operate at. And life responds in kind. But the moment you say, no more, not here, not in my life, not around me, everything begins to change. The world adjusts to your new standard just as easily as it adjusted to your old one. The third rule of the rebuild: build a life you don't need to escape from. Most people are exhausted, not because life is hard, but because life is misaligned. They are drained because their environment is wrong. Their habits are wrong, their relationships are wrong, their goals are wrong, their routines are wrong. Your rebuild phase is where you design a life that nourishes your energy instead of draining it. A life where your mornings give you power, your habits build your future, your relationships elevate you, your work has purpose, your silence protects you, your vision guides you, your standards keep you grounded. Remember, a life that feels like home, a life that feels like proof you were never the problem. Your environment was. The fourth rule of the rebuild: master emotional neutrality. This is one of the most powerful skills you'll ever develop. Emotional neutrality means no overreacting, no overthinking, no overexplaining, no emotional gambling. You see things for what they are, not what your triggers make them appear to be. This is how strong people win quietly. They don't take everything personally. They don't try to fix everyone. They don't react to nonsense. They don't let temporary emotions make permanent decisions. They respond with intention instead of impulse. Emotional neutrality turns you into someone who controls the room simply by not losing control of themselves. People fear silence because it reveals their inner chaos. But you train until silence reveals your inner strength. The fifth rule of the rebuild: replace talk with action. Here is the secret. People who talk about their goals rarely accomplish them. People who execute quietly rarely fail. Because talking gives you fake achievement. It tricks your brain into thinking you're progressing. But action moves mountains. Action breaks cycles. Action redefines your identity. Action silences doubt. Action builds momentum. This is why the successful stay quiet. They use their energy to build instead of explain. They use their time to execute instead of impress. They use their focus to create instead of convince. Your rebuild transforms you into someone who speaks only when necessary, because your results are doing the talking for you. The sixth rule of the rebuild: build a future no one saw coming. This is the most satisfying part. Not revenge, not proving people wrong, not showing off, but becoming so undeniably strong, so unshakably centered, so quietly powerful, that people look at you and whisper, "Where did that version of them come from?" They don't realize that the version they're seeing was built in silence, in patience, in discipline, in self-control, in long nights, in early mornings, in self-reflection, in heartbreak, in solitude, in resilience, in commitment, in the quiet battles no one ever witnessed. This is the moment your silence pays off. The rebuild conclusion. Your silent era was your foundation. Your rebuild is your architecture. You are no longer who you were. You are not yet who you will become, but you are exactly where your greatness begins. You've rebuilt the foundation. You've elevated your identity. You've sharpened your emotional control. You've removed noise, people, habits, and distractions. Now comes the phase where everything changes, not because you speak louder, but because you no longer need to speak at all. Welcome to the part of the journey where silence becomes magnetic, where your presence speaks before you enter the room, where your consistency becomes a signal of power. This is the empire-building stage, quiet, focused, unstoppable. Let's walk into it. Rule 1 of the silent empire. Power is presence, not performance. Most people try to be noticed. They perform, they act, they exaggerate, they overshare, they force attention, they chase validation. But real power does not perform. Real power exists. The richest people you've ever seen, they don't need to announce. They don't need to flex. They don't need to prove. Their discipline is loud enough. Their aura is loud enough. Their results are loud enough. You will learn this now. When your life becomes powerful, you no longer need to be. Your silence becomes confidence. Your consistency becomes influence. Your focus becomes your advantage. You walk differently, think differently, move differently. Not because you're pretending, but because you're becoming. Rule 2 of the silent empire. Speak only when necessary. Most people talk out of insecurity. They rush to fill silence. They rush to justify themselves. They rush to be understood. But you speak when needed, nothing more. Because you understand. Words are tools, not toys. Words are leverage, not decoration. Words are power, not noise. Silence sharpens your ideas before the world ever hears them. You speak with intention. You communicate with discipline. You choose your words like a strategist, not like a performer. This is how leaders speak. This is how millionaires speak. This is how winners speak. Not more, just necessary. Rule 3 of the silent empire. Let people wonder what you're building. Most people destroy their blessings by announcing them too early. Do you know why? Because when you reveal too soon, you invite doubt. You invite jealousy. You invite opinions. You invite resistance. People sabotage what they don't understand. People fear what they can't categorize. People attack what they cannot predict. But when you move silently, your progress becomes mysterious. People see results, but not the process. They see outcomes, but not the strategy. They see elevation, but not the work. And mystery is power. People respect what they can't fully read. Rule 4 of the silent empire. Become unreactive to people's emotions. If you let every mood around you dictate your behavior, you will never rule your life. Successful people are emotionally independent. They don't inherit other people's negativity. They don't absorb other people's fear. They don't participate in emotional chaos. They don't get dragged into pointless arguments. They don't respond to every misunderstanding. Why? Because their focus is too expensive. Their time is too valuable. Their peace is too essential. Their mind is too strategic. You are building an empire. You cannot afford to be pulled into drama that produces nothing. This is what people notice about you. You no longer respond. You no longer react. You no longer play their emotional games. And that makes you powerful. Dangerously powerful. Rule 5 of the Silent Empire. Build something that lasts. The loud win for the moment, the silent win for a lifetime. You are not aiming for fast, flashy, temporary wins. You are building a mindset, a character, a standard, a reputation, a brand, a legacy that cannot be shaken by noise. Your empire is built brick by brick, habit by habit, choice by choice, day by day, not for attention, not for applause, not for validation, but because you know that the greatest form of silent power is this, a life that speaks for itself. Rule 6 of the Silent Empire. Make your success confusing, not to spite others, but because true growth happens outside the understanding of average people. They won't understand why you wake up early, why you have a routine, why you prefer being alone, why you don't announce everything, why you stopped explaining yourself, why you move in silence now, why you guard your energy so aggressively. They will call it changed. They will call it different. They will call it cold. They will call it strange. But eventually, they will call it successful. The more you evolve, the fewer people will understand you. That's how you know you're on the right path. Rule 7 of the Silent Empire. Audit your circle without announcement. You don't need to argue. You don't need to confront. You don't need to explain. Just quietly distance yourself. Because the truth is simple. Not everyone deserves to be close to you. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone deserves proximity to your peace. Not everyone deserves to witness your growth. Your silence redraws the boundaries that your old self ignored. You stop giving unlimited access to people who offer you limited respect. And suddenly, you are surrounded not by noise, but by clarity. Rule 8 of the Silent Empire. Live in a way that makes speaking optional. This is the final stage. The 1% don't succeed because they talk. They succeed because they move. Their silence is backed by consistency, discipline, emotional control, financial intelligence, relentless self-improvement, strategic thinking, long-term vision. When your life is built on these pillars, you no longer need to tell people your plans. Remember, your life becomes a message. Your results become a language. Your actions become your voice. You rise quietly, you achieve quietly, you expand quietly, and the world will feel it even if you never speak. The Silent Empire is now in motion. You have crossed the threshold, you have entered the realm of quiet power, and now the only thing left is to build the next chapter, the silent grind, mastering the daily habits that guarantee your transformation. The Silent Empire is not built in drama or noise or spectacle. It's built in your daily grind, in the hours no one sees, in the routines no one celebrates, in the sacrifices no one understands. And now that you've learned the rules of silence, it's time to master the habits that make silence powerful. Let's begin. Habit 1. Control the first hour of your day. The first hour is the architect of your entire day. It decides whether your mind is calm or chaotic, whether you lead or react, whether you act with intention or drift, whether you build or destroy your momentum. Millionaires guard their mornings like a fortress because they know if you win the morning, you win the day. If you win the day, you win the year. If you win the year, you change your life. Your first hour must be quiet, intentional, disciplined. Before the world gets your attention, you give it to yourself. Habit 2. Do the hard task. First, every day has one task that separates winners from losers. The poor mindset avoids it. The average mindset postpones it. The weak mindset negotiates with it. The emotional mindset fears it. But the millionaire mindset, it attacks it. First, fast, fully. Because the task you avoid is the task that controls you. When you face resistance head-on, your confidence grows, your discipline grows, your identity grows, and suddenly, silence becomes easy. Because your actions speak so loudly that your mind doesn't need noise. Habit 3. Create more than you consume. Consumption is passive. Creation is power. Poor thinking consumes endlessly. YouTube, gossip, podcasts, advice, commentary, entertainment, opinions, noise. Rich thinking creates ideas, value, solutions, systems, opportunities, offers, products, results. Every day ask yourself, did I create more energy than I consumed? Did I build something? Did I contribute something? Did I push my life forward? If the answer is no, you were busy, not productive. Habit 4. Hold your energy sacred. You cannot build an empire with scattered, leaking, emotional energy. Everything you do either strengthens or drains you. The wealthy protect their energy like treasure. They avoid emotional chaos, unnecessary debates, reactive conversations, attention stealers, overly dramatic people, draining environments, panic-filled timelines, people who brag but never improve. They know energy is currency, focus is profit, distraction is bankruptcy, silence is their shield. Habit 5. Repeat the boring work. This is the truth most people avoid. Success is boring, unsexy, repetitive, predictable, routine, consistent. The poor mindset wants excitement. The average mindset wants motivation. The emotional mindset wants novelty. The impatient mindset wants shortcuts. But millionaires, they want results. And they understand the formula. Small improvements repeated daily create massive transformations. Not the big gestures, not the loud moments, not the motivational spikes, but the small habits executed silently every single day. Habit 6. Review your day like a strategist. Do not end your day mindlessly. Before you sleep, ask yourself, what did I build today? Not what you consumed, not what you planned, not what you intended, what you did. Then ask, where did I waste time? Not out of guilt, but out of awareness. The rich do what almost no one else does. They track their life like a CEO tracks a company, because they know what you measure improves, what you ignore slowly destroys you. Tell me, what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now? Let's see how many people relate. Habit 7. Reset your mind every night. You cannot build tomorrow with the emotional weight of today. The quiet mind is the powerful mind. At night, let go of the drama. Detach from the mistakes. Release the judgments. Silence the inner critic. Breathe. Reset. You wake up with a sharper mind when you put your emotions to sleep. Become the person who doesn't need to announce winning. We have reached the final transformation. By now you understand, silence isn't withdrawal. Silence isn't weakness. Silence isn't fear. Silence is strategy. Silence is focus. Silence is self-respect. Silence is power. When you no longer seek validation, your results become undeniable. When you no longer need applause, your actions become unstoppable. When you no longer broadcast your plans, your success becomes unpredictable. And when you no longer react to noise, you become someone impossible to disturb. This is the final form of strength, a quiet mind with a loud life. You now carry the blueprint, the rules, the discipline, the habits, the thinking, the strategy, the silence. Now it's your turn to build privately and rise publicly. The ascent, the moment you become unrecognizable. There comes a point in every transformation where you stop feeling like your old self, but you haven't fully become the new one yet. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's quiet, it's strange, it's unfamiliar. Most people quit here. Most people run back to their old habits, their old environment, their old distractions, their old identity, because it feels safer than silence. But you're not most people. This is the phase where silence becomes your training ground, your inner laboratory, your personal forge. This is the place where the weak retreat and the strong rebuild. This is the place where you stop explaining and start evolving. The shift nobody talks about. People think success happens when you get rich or get that opportunity or break through publicly. But the real shift happens long before that. It happens the day you decide, I will no longer live at the mercy of my impulses. The day you stop responding to every emotion. The day you stop justifying your lack of progress. The day you stop sharing everything you do. The day you stop looking for approval. The day you stop apologizing for wanting more. This is the quiet shift, the internal revolution, the upgrade no one sees but everyone feels. That's when you begin to move differently. Talk less. Observe more. Listen deeper. Choose wisely. Act deliberately. And people around you sense it instantly. They can't explain it, but they feel the elevation. The power of becoming invisible. When your intentions become private, you become unpredictable. Unpredictability is power, because now no one can sabotage what they do not know, no one can mock what they cannot see, no one can interfere with what you do silently, no one can slow down what only you control. You become like a submarine, moving beneath the surface, silent, unseen, unstoppable. This is how great people build momentum. Quietly, steadily, intentionally, without noise. The ones who talk too much expose their strategies. The ones who brag too soon expose their insecurities. The ones who move loudly expose their weaknesses. But the one who moves in silence, they expose nothing and accomplish everything. The art of outgrowing people. Without conflict, growth is not always beautiful. Sometimes it's the quiet exit from a room full of chaos. When you elevate your mind, your environment must evolve too. But here's the secret. You don't have to cut people off. You simply outgrow them. You rise. They remain. Distance forms naturally. No drama, no confrontation, no argument, no explanation required. Because the version of you who used to entertain nonsense no longer exists. The person who needed validation is gone. The person who needed to be understood is gone. The person who needed noise is gone. Everything you've learned up to this point is about to converge. Your habits, your restraint, your discipline, your clarity, your private grind, your emotional maturity. You are not the same person you were when this journey began. Your mind is sharper. Your emotions are calmer. Your direction is clear. Your energy is cleaner. Your frequency is higher. Your future is louder. What is the biggest lesson life has taught you this year? Share it. Someone needs to read it. Final words. Your silence will build what no noise ever could. Your power is no longer in your voice. It's in your presence. Your power is no longer in your words. It's in your habits. Your power is no longer in your plans. It's in your execution. Your power is no longer in your reactions. It's in your emotional control. And your power is no longer in being seen, but in being undeniable. This is how empires are built. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. Your silence will build what noise never could. If this audiobook resonated with you, drop a comment with the line that hit you the hardest and tell me what audiobook topic you want next. Your empire is waiting. Go build it. End of audiobook.